Star Trek series premiering next week. It's called Starfleet Academy.
This wasn't what I had in mind.
2 days after Starfleet Academy premiered, Gina Yashere broke her silence, and what she said sent shockwaves through the fandom. Now the debate isn't just about the show, it's about whether Star Trek itself has lost its way.
The crew of the new Star Trek series features a cast of 3 lesbian performance artists, prompting Miller to retweet an ex-post calling it tragic.
Eat your feelings. I swear it doesn't even taste like replicator food.
When Starfleet Academy launched on Paramount Plus, expectations were sky high. This wasn't just another spin-off, it was supposed to introduce the next generation of Star Trek heroes. A fresh cast, a new era, a bold expansion of the universe that Gene Roddenberry built. But within days of its release, the conversation surrounding the show had shifted from excitement to controversy. And at the center of it all was comedian and actress Gina Yashere, who plays an instructor at the Academy. What happened next didn't just divide fans, it ignited a cultural firestorm. Starfleet Academy arrived as part of Paramount's continued push to expand the Star Trek franchise. Over the last several years, Trek has experimented with multiple tones, from the darker, serialized storytelling of Discovery to the animated comedy of Lower Decks and the nostalgic optimism of Strange New Worlds. Academy was positioned as something different, a coming-of-age drama set within the iconic walls of Starfleet's most prestigious institution. The concept sounded promising, young cadets navigating identity, duty, and the weight of Federation ideals. But almost immediately, viewers began arguing about whether the execution lived up to the ambition. Critics were largely supportive in early reviews, praising the show's attempt to modernize Trek for a new generation. They highlighted its diverse cast and character-focused approach. But online audience scores painted a more divided picture. Social media threads filled with debates about tone, dialogue, and whether the show felt authentically Star Trek. And then came the word that has followed the franchise for years now: woke. For some fans, that label was shorthand for progressive storytelling done without subtlety. For others, it was an unfair attack on a franchise that has always embraced inclusivity. Because here's the truth: Star Trek has been socially progressive since the 1960s. The original series featured one of television's first interracial kisses. The bridge crew was intentionally multinational during a time of global tension. The next generation tackled issues of personhood, discrimination, and moral responsibility. Inclusion isn't new to Trek, it's fundamental. But the Academy backlash wasn't just about casting. Clips began circulating online, scenes dissected frame by frame. Some viewers criticized the show's dialogue as overly contemporary. Others argued that the Academy didn't feel like the disciplined, aspirational institution seen in previous series. Was it character development, or was it tonal confusion? Was it youthful energy, or was it a departure from the professionalism fans associated with Starfleet? The arguments grew louder with each episode. And that's when Gina Yashere entered the conversation publicly. Known for her sharp wit and unapologetic humor, Yashere responded to critics on social media, defending both the show and its themes. She pushed back against what she viewed as bad faith attacks and embraced the idea that Star Trek should reflect the world as it evolves. In interviews, she emphasized that the franchise has always challenged audiences and that inclusion shouldn't be controversial in a universe built on unity. But for some fans, her responses felt confrontational rather than conciliatory. Instead of calming the discourse, her comments intensified it. Supporters praised her for standing firm. Critics accused her of dismissing legitimate storytelling concerns. Suddenly, the narrative wasn't just about whether Starfleet Academy was good or bad, it was about whether fans were being heard at all. And that shift changed everything, because this wasn't the first time a major franchise faced this kind of divide. In recent years, multiple long-running properties have struggled to balance legacy audiences with new viewers. The tension is familiar. How do you evolve without alienating the core fan base? How do you introduce modern themes without losing the spirit that made the franchise iconic? For Star Trek, that question carries even more weight. The series has always imagined a better future, but what that future looks like depends on who's watching. As the Academy continued airing, the debate only deepened. Some episodes were praised for emotional character moments and ambitious ideas. Others were criticized for uneven pacing and inconsistent tone. The conversation became polarized. If you liked it, you were accused of ignoring flaws. If you disliked it, you were accused of resisting change. Nuance disappeared. And that's where things get complicated. Because beneath the noise, there were genuine questions worth asking. What makes Star Trek feel like Star Trek? Is it optimism? The exploration? The philosophical dilemmas? The disciplined command structure? Or is it simply the willingness to confront contemporary issues through science fiction allegory? Different fans answered differently, and those answers shaped how they saw the Academy. Meanwhile, Paramount had already committed to expanding its Trek slate. The franchise remains one of the studio's flagship properties. That means Academy isn't just a single series. It's part of a broader strategy to keep Star Trek culturally relevant in 2026 and beyond. The stakes are high. Every reaction matters. Yashere, for her part, continued to defend the show's direction in subsequent interviews. She argued that progress often meets resistance and that art should spark conversation. She also acknowledged that not every viewer would connect with every creative choice. But the internet doesn't reward moderation. It rewards extremes. And so headlines focused on the most explosive sound bites. The result? A feedback loop of outrage. Fans who felt unheard doubled down. Supporters rallied harder. Commentary channels dissected every statement. Reaction videos multiplied. What could have been a typical fandom disagreement became a symbol of a larger cultural debate about entertainment, identity, and audience ownership. But here's the overlooked reality. Controversy doesn't automatically mean failure. Star Trek has survived backlash before. The Next Generation was criticized heavily in its first season before becoming one of the most beloved series in the franchise. Deep Space Nine was once called too dark before being reevaluated as one of the boldest Trek installments ever made. Even Enterprise faced harsh scrutiny during its original run. History shows that initial reactions don't always define legacy. So where does that leave Starfleet Academy? Some viewers argue it simply needs time to find its footing. Others believe course correction is necessary. And a vocal segment insists the show represents a fundamental misunderstanding of Trek's core identity. The truth likely sits somewhere in between. Television, especially within a legacy franchise, is rarely perfect out of the gate. What makes this situation unique is how quickly the conversation escalated beyond the show itself. Instead of debating plot arcs or character development, the discourse shifted to ideology. That shift made meaningful criticism harder. When every negative comment is assumed to be politically motivated and every positive comment is assumed to be blind loyalty, honest evaluation becomes nearly impossible. And that's dangerous for any creative project. Because great storytelling requires feedback. It requires writers who can separate constructive critique from bad faith trolling. It requires audiences willing to engage thoughtfully rather than react instantly. And it requires cast members navigating promotion carefully in a digital era where every word can become a headline. Gina Yashere's bombshell moment wasn't just about a defense of her show. It was about drawing a line, about refusing to apologize for creative choices she believes in. Whether that stance ultimately strengthens or weakens the Academy remains to be seen, but it undeniably transformed the narrative. Now, as the season progresses, the focus has shifted back, at least partially, to the episodes themselves. Can the Academy deliver compelling arcs? Can it balance youthful energy with the gravitas fans expect from Starfleet? Can it prove that modernization and legacy aren't mutually exclusive? Those questions matter more than any Instagram caption, because at its core, Star Trek has always been about possibility. The possibility that humanity can grow, that institutions can evolve. Those differences can coexist within a shared mission. Ironically, the Academy controversy reflects those very themes in real time. A fandom grappling with change, a franchise redefining itself, a cast navigating the crossfire. Whether Starfleet Academy is bold or misguided, it has captured attention, and in streaming, attention is everything. The real measure is lasting impact. Gina Yashere's outspoken defense puts her at the center of the storm, a risky but confident move. Now the question isn't woke or not, it's whether the show can honor Star Trek's enduring spirit of exploration. Because in the end, Starfleet isn't just about who gets a seat on the bridge. It's about whether the mission still inspires us to explore.